Hello, hello. Do we have sound? Do we have sound? Hello, hello, hello. Is the sound working? Do we have sound? Check, sound check. Hello. Sweet. Awesome. Sorry, guys. I unplugged my mic earlier and forgot to reconnect it. So that is much better. So welcome back to this cursed cruise ship of lost souls, the Dead Hours. I am the steadfast captain of said doomed vessel and future ghost with the most, Vivian Noir. That's me. That's you guys. How are you guys doing? I am enjoying an adult beverage with a straw because I'm a grown-up and a badass. That is how we do. So, this week, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, that was technical difficulties, guys. That's what I get for unplugging stuff and then not checking when I plug it back in. Anyways, so this week, by special request, Bermuda, Bahama, come on, that's copyrighted and I can't sing anymore. So that's right, my fluffy little dark marshmallows. This week, I haven't had much of this yet. We are traveling to the Caribbean by way of the devilish and mysterious Bermuda Triangle. Perhaps one of the most famous out of the many strange spots and vortexes that dot the planet's surface. There are 12 of them in total. And while I will cover all of them in this episode, let's start off with the biggest, probably, and the baddest, maybe, of them all. Shall we? Okay. Let's get started. Ooh, look at those font graphics. Look at that. All right, so I'm going to keep my finger on the pause because this one's not nearly as long as some of the other ones. That's what she said. That is what she proclaimeth. So the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Triangle, not the Urban Dictionary definition. That's not this kind of program. Get your minds out the gutter. I mean, you don't have to. I can't tell you what to do. Hey, Sabra. Hello, people joining. So the Bermuda Triangle is a region in the North Atlantic Ocean between Florida and Puerto Rico and Bermuda, as you can see by this handy-dandy map, where planes, ships, and people have been known to supposedly disappear. But are these disappearances due to something paranormal? As if on cue? The little vortex? Or something extraterrestrial? Well, let's get into it. So the history of the Bermuda Triangle begins with our least favorite Christopher Columbus. Around the time when he discovered the New World, he reportedly saw a, quote, flame of fire crash into the sea in the triangle. As if you guys didn't need a visual aid, a visual aid. Now, that may have also been the dementia from the syphilis talking, but who knows? And also, while I'm on the subject, how does one discover somewhere that people are already living? How in the cool, crispy, carbonated fuck is that possible? I have questions. Christopher, that is your real name. Jerk. Anyways, that may have been the earliest incident to occur in the triangle, but the earliest disappearances didn't start happening until late 1950. So first published in the Miami Herald in September 17th, 1950, Edward Van Winkle Jones, who on the official Van Winkle scale falls somewhere between Rip and Rob, aka Vanilla Ice. If there's a problem, he'll solve it. Check out the hook. Well, you know how it goes. So he first spoke about strange disappearances occurring within the area of the Bermuda Triangle. He wrote of numerous planes and ships that disappeared as early as 1945, such as the Sandra, a 350-foot freighter that disappeared on its journey to Puerto Cabello, Venezuela, which a 350-foot freighter is not something you just like misplace by accident. We're not talking about like a rowboat or a dinghy here. We're talking about a 350-foot freighter. That's just something you turn around and it's gone. Like, where did I put that gigantic ship, guys? It was behind your ear the whole time. Bundini. If you don't know the Bundini joke, please watch the Ted Bundy episode from yesterday. Anyways, circling back around. So, and a flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami that disappeared sometime after 4 a.m. on December 27th, 1948. He also wrote of various other planes and ships that went missing, such as the British planes, the Star Tiger and the Star Ariel, which we will get into their disappearances a little bit later, and the 5 torpedo planes that took off from Fort Lauderdale and simply vanished. He said, quote, "These and other modern mysteries have established a roll of about 135 persons who went forth confidently into a world they thought small. But it is the same big world the ancients knew, into which men and their machines and ships can disappear without a trace." Edward, waxing a little poetic for the Miami Herald, are we? Just saying. I mean, that was an epic quote. I'm not going to take that away from him. Credit where credit is due. Game recognizes game. However, that's a little poetic for a newspaper article. Like, we're getting a little into the, anyways. So 2 years later, Fate magazine published an article called "Sea Mystery at Our Back Door," which sounds okay. That, again, Urban Dictionary, y'all don't look it up. Anyways, so that article was by George Sand. Sand brought attention to the disappearance of Flight 19, which we'll also delve into just a moment. More details. The article was the first to suggest a specific layout of the triangle, as well as to suggest a possible spooky supernatural reason for the flight's disappearance. His suggestion would later be supported, at least in part, by Alan W. Eckert, who wrote a 1962 article in American Legion magazine that the flight leader had been heard saying, quote, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green. No, white. Dude, green and white are not the same colors, so I'm going to need you to be a little bit, on your definitions, okay? I mean, I get it. There's color blindness. It's a thing, but also, you can't be colorblind and fly planes. So I'm gonna need you to was it the it's green, no, white, and it was actually ground. That's ground and sky and ground. Holy shit. That sounds like a death spiral is what that sounds like, mama. So Sand also wrote that, quote, "The officials at the Navy Board of Inquiry stated that the planes flew off to Mars." On behalf of the council, I'm going to need a second. So, the Navy, the United States Navy, you guys, Board of Inquiry stated, this was their official statement, the planes flew off to Mars. I didn't know that that was an official excuse for just anything you lose. And I'm going to use that in the future for everything. If the military gets to officially say that shit flew off to Mars, then I should get to say it when I misplace something. Just throwing that out there. You could just say you don't know. You could literally say you don't know. We don't know what happened to the planes. Wouldn't that be better than going, Mars, fuck it. We don't know that Mars. I mean, that doesn't sound very official. It really doesn't. It truly doesn't. So, I had to include this meme because I thought it was funny. And I think it was from 2020 because, hey, 2020 is wilding out. But I feel like it could still apply for 2021. We're very hesitant. We're not really sure. Yes, Mars excuse. The Mars excuse is like right up there with elves took it. Or the house goblins. I don't know. Like, just ridiculous. And I also can't say no. Like, I can't prove that they didn't. Prove that they didn't. I can't prove that they didn't. So, I guess tip of the hat. Tip of the invisible tinfoil hat, if you will. So going back to the layout of the triangle, which of course you see right here in this handy-dandy meme diagram, this is by no means a small segment of the ocean, spooky fam. The Bermuda Triangle spans 500,000, yes, you heard that correctly, 500,000 square miles of ocean. That is a big-ass chunk of ocean. It's a lot of space for shit to go mysteriously missing in, which apparently happens enough to be of an odd footnote. But I'm going to delve a little deeper into some of the disappearances that stood out to me personally. In March 1918, the USS Cyclops went missing without a trace after departing for the island of Barbados. The ship, nor her entire crew of 309, was ever seen again. And while no evidence exists to back up any single theory to explain the disappearance, many independent ones exist that blame everything from storms to wartime activity to structural failure while carrying a heavy load of ore. In fact, this ultimately was the fate of the Cyclops' two sister ships, the Proteus and the Nereus, which were both lost in the Atlantic during World War II. Side note, if it's an ore ship, you think it would be made to carry ore? I mean, structural failure while carrying what it was meant to carry. It's not like it was a pillow ship that they went, fuck it, that's the only one we got, throw the ore in there. No, it was an ore. You see where I'm getting at here. I don't think structural failure when it's carrying what it's meant to carry really stands up to scrutiny. But I digress. In 1921, a 5-masted schooner called the Carroll A. Deering was found run hard aground at Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. There were no traces found of survivors or any crew at all. The ship was run aground, nobody was on it, nobody was around. Theories abound that the ship had fallen victim to pirates due to rum running during the early days of Prohibition, because that did happen. Another ship known as the Hewitt disappeared around the same time and may have been linked to the crew's mysterious vanishing. So they may have gotten just hijacked by pirates. They still really don't know. But no trace of the crew was ever found. Weird. Phantom pirates from Mars. You heard it here first. Anyways. Perhaps the most famous disappearance related to the Bermuda Triangle is that of the mysterious vanishing of Flight 19 in December 1945. The training flight of the 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers vanished somewhere over the Atlantic and never returned to base. The flight plan was scheduled to take them east of Fort Lauderdale, Florida for 141 miles, then 73 miles north, then back over a final 140 miles to complete the exercise. So it was just a flight training exercise. Nothing this is pretty run-of-the-mill for, Air Force planes at the time. They run flight drills. This is not unusual. And a lot of times you'll run flight drills over water so that you'll know how to fly over water. It's practice. But the Navy officially attributed the disappearance to navigational error. Weird. They didn't say Mars this time, because I guess that excuse only works one time. Anyways, so they claim it was navigational error, which led to the aircrafts running out of fuel and then crashing into the sea. As you can see in this lovely artistic rendering that looks like it belongs painted on the side of someone's van. I like it. Anyways, so communications with the missing flight before they disappeared underscored the difficulty they seemed to be having with their instruments also. They claimed that their instruments were not behaving properly, that the compasses were just spinning. They couldn't get a reading on true north. They were having issues just with all kinds of pretty much all of their equipment. So God knows how far they actually flew off course before they just into thin air. So both the Star Tiger and Star Ariel passenger aircraft vanished in 1948 and 1949, respectively, on flights to Bermuda from the Azores and from Bermuda to Jamaica. Bermuda, Bahama. Anyways, song's in my head now. It's not leaving. Both planes, though, were said to be operating at the limits of their range. So only a slight margin of error could have easily caused a crash in these instances. So they were already overextended as to their flight plan, their flight path, and the mileage they were going. So for those, it's entirely possible that they just went over, a smidgen of error getting your fuel wrong, and it is lights out, Magoo. Not a good time. So that one could be just flight error. Not really sure about that one. But in December 1948, a Douglas DC-3 aircraft carrying 32 people on board from a flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami, poof, gone. Just whoosh. No trace of the plane or any of its passengers were ever found. A civil aeronautics board investigation determined that there was insufficient information to determine the possible cause of disappearance. In 1955, a pleasure yacht called the Connemara IV was found adrift in the Atlantic, south of Bermuda. The crew had vanished, apparently, but the ship had survived, tossed in the seas by not one, not two, but three, count them, 3 hurricanes. That is a sturdy vessel. It was a sturdy vessel right there. The people, not as much, not as sturdy, but sturdy vessel, Connemara IV, stand up to 3 hurricanes. Color me impressed, which is hard to do. And finally, in 1963, a pair of Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker aircrafts collided and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean 300 miles west of Bermuda. The collision could have been due to human error or perhaps the strange instrument interference that seemed to plague other planes in the area. This was a very common occurrence in the area, with instruments just going all sorts of fucky. That is a technical term, by the way. You can use that all you want to. Sorry, officer, I didn't know how fast I was going. My speedometer went all sorts of fucky. It works? It works? I don't know, actually. Try it out and tell me if it works. So how then to explain these strange series of disappearances in the same geographical area? Well, there's a lot. Some crazy and some not so much. So let's get into it. So there are several working theories that attempt to explain the bizarre phenomenon of the vanishings that occur within the triangle and other lesser known so-called vile vortices that dot the planet's surface. First of which is, you guessed it, aliens. I'm not joking. It's aliens, guys. Just when you thought it wouldn't be galactic, guess what? It's galactic. So several theories cite the appearances of unexplained aerial phenomena in the vast expanse, but you'll forgive my slightly skeptical tone. With no further evidence to bank this theory on other than random sightings, this explanation is just about as thin as the fishing line that holds up the tin plate UFOs in a bad 1950s sci-fi film, Plan 9 from Outer Space. I'm looking at you. I'm coming for your game. So, there have been instances where planes that have been flying through there that have disappeared had seen UFOs, had seen unidentified aircraft, but there is, there are words are difficult. Yes, we knew it. It was the little gray men the entire time. They're stealing all our planes. I don't know where that accent came from. Anywho, there's no photographs, obviously. There's no evidence to prove that it's aliens, other than some here and there random like eyewitness that people see some weird things flying overhead in the Bermuda Triangle. So you can take that theory as you will. The next theory is perhaps just as far-fetched. Some have pinned the odd magnetic fields and telemetry to leftover technology from the fabled and lost continent of Atlantis. I told you. Aliens, Atlantis. Get into it. Alien Atlantis. Oh, I think we just came up with something different and something new and just as creepy. Many believers and scholars pinpoint this area of the ocean as the location of the sunken continent based on clues from ancient texts. Psychic Edgar Cayce even claimed that Atlantis would be discovered in 1968, which is the same year that the strange underwater formation known as Bimini Road would be discovered off the shore of the island of Bimini in the Bahamas. Believers cite the formation as an ancient sunken road and a wall, which if you've ever seen photos of it, if you Google Bimini Road, it really does look like an underwater road with like half tumbled down wall. It really does look like actual man-made structure. But scientists contest that the fabled Bimini Road is just a natural occurrence of undersea erosion. So you can look at the photos and judge for yourself. To me, it looks a little... It could be erosion, but it's a little on the nose for erosion. I don't know. It's one of those, like, I would like it to be true. I would like it to be part of Atlantis. Excuse me. But I don't know. Just keep an open mind. Yeah, some have said landing strip. It could be. But it very much looks like a road. For sure. There is some crazy... And I've been drinking. Not a lot. But there is some nonsense happening in the chat right now. Please go back and watch. Look at this. There is some things going on in the chat. Do I need to leave you guys alone? I mean, I can. I'm just teasing. I'm giving you guys a hard time because I can. So now that the tinfoil hat explanations a little bit are out of the way, I didn't bring my tinfoil hat. It lights up. Sad. We can actually get into some of the more decidedly scientific explanations. One of those natural variations of a compass itself. Compasses shifting and changing direction due to magnetic phenomena have been widely reported in accounts of disappearances and near disappearances in the triangle especially. Some have claimed that magnetic anomalies may exist in the area, but as of yet, none have been located. Compasses do, however, have natural magnetic variations in relation to the poles. To the magnetic poles. Magnetic north and true north are exactly the same for only a small number of places. So magnetic north and true north generally are actually different directions for the most part. I was today years old when I learned that. Anyways, and the triangle is not one of these places where magnetic north and true north are the same north. So people may be unaware of this fact and may think it's an odd occurrence for a compass to shift so drastically in an area as large as the triangle and other vortices, but naturally it will. Many believers claim that there would be wreckage of ships and planes if this was a natural phenomenon, which I did see somebody brought up earlier, was like, you think there would be wreckage from the planes and all these things disappearing and blah, blah, blah. An explanation to why limited wreckage is found or never recovered of those that do go missing is that the workings of the Gulf Stream, which flows through the Bermuda Triangle. It's a very powerful current that, for all intents and purposes, is a river within the ocean. Show of emojis. Who's seen Finding Nemo? The Disney film Finding Nemo. Show of emojis. You guys are talking about food again, and I'm asking for a show of emojis. Who's seen Finding Nemo? Do. Anyways, in that movie, they kind of they show a current very similar to that. I think it might be the Gulf Stream. I don't know if they exactly call it the Gulf Stream, but it's something similar to that, where it's just this interocean current that is very strong. And it has a maximum surface velocity of about 2 meters a second, which would easily carry off any floating debris or wreckage far away from the initial crash site. So Of course, this theory only works for the Bermuda Triangle and not some of the other vile vortices spots. The area that covers the Bermuda Triangle is also well known for being a spot for occasional violent storms and rough weather. Our next theory, or like two, I suppose, are simple ones that build off of the unpredictability of nature. Human error. The disappearance of planes and ships can always be explained by human error coupled with violent weather. Sailing or flying directly into a storm that's power has been underestimated has caused the loss of many vessels over the years. Not to mention, the sudden downdrafts and air bombs from cloud formations have caused several sinkings of large ships, like the Pride of Baltimore in 1986 and the Concordia off the coast of Brazil in 2010. So these are very large, like, downdrafts of air that actually just, like, even can fuck up ships. So Mother Nature is hilarious and cruel, if nothing else. So finally, the last theory does sound a little bit nutter at first, but stick with me. It does have a basis in science. This explanation involves a substance called methane hydrates, which is a form of natural gas that occurs in large fields along the continental shelves. Experiments have proven that the bubbles of this gas decrease the density of water when reaching the surface and have sunken model ships in testing in laboratories. Anyways, it was very fancy. As the ship sinks due to the shift in density, any wreckage rising back upwards to the surface would be rapidly dispersed by the Gulf Stream current. So as the ship goes down, the wreckage goes woof and gets sucked off, and woof is an official sound of, how that works. So it's been hypothesized that the occasional eruptions of methane from under the surface, sometimes called mud volcanoes, may produce regions of frothy water that are suddenly incapable of providing adequate buoyancy for ships. If this is indeed true, such an area of water forming beneath a ship or a large one would cause it to sink very rapidly and without warning. So, ocean farts is the final theory in a nutshell. The ocean farted real thick, y'all, and just bloop, and the ship goes down, and that's how it happens. And then whoosh, the current takes the wreckage away, and no one is ever seen again. No one survives an ocean fart. Official theory. And of course, it goes without saying that this theory, while applicable to ships, does not apply to aircraft that go missing in the area. But as I said at the beginning of the show, the Bermuda Triangle is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg when it comes to the strange vortexes of odd, unexplained power. In fact, strangely enough, it's been proposed by biologist and paranormal researcher Ivan T. Anderson that there are 11 other such spots, known as vile vortices, across the surface of the world. So ocean farts? I don't know. What do you guys think? We'll take a brief before we go into the other locations. What do you guys think? Do you think ocean farts? It is the wettest part of all. You heard it here first. Ocean farts, aliens, human error. What do you guys think? Magic portal? Could be a combination of those things. Aliens opening magic portals that cause ocean farts. I don't know, but I'm just throwing this out there. Just all of them in one. All of it together. In a giant confusing ball that happens in the middle of Atlantis. I mean, ocean farts. Ocean farts. Let's just copyright that. Can we just copyright ocean farts? Ocean fart. The demise of many a ship. I can just see it now, like old, timey ships. Just like, Captain, you be really quiet lately. Yes, matey. Did you hear that? It's a quiet sea. It's always quiet right before the ocean fart. I don't know. Also, I thought this was very funny because this got posted not too long after the Storm Area 51 event. This was a following joke event that I thought was hysterical. Storm the Bermuda Triangle. It can't swallow all of us. It's like, and I think like 40,000 people ended up signing up for this thing, which was very funny. But, you know, we joke and we laugh now, but I want to say for the record that nothing was right after that raid on Area 51. The world went sideways after that. What did we find? What actually happened? I don't know, y'all, but I'm just saying that that's when this whole ball of wax with 2020 got started. It was in 2019 when a bunch of people decided to go raid Area 51 and go Naruto run at a secret military base. Then all of a sudden just prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And I don't think the raid on the Bermuda Triangle happened, of course. You'd have to, I mean, in theory, I guess it can't swallow all of us, but like, so I'm intrigued. And I wouldn't mind trying it, but I don't know if this year's the year to try it, because again, we saw what happened last time and it triggered a whole series of unfortunate events. And yeah, I don't think it's I think we need to get onto stable ground before we try anything again like that, because yeah, no, I'm not interested in living through another 2020. I have had it officially with that. There is a Facebook group. It's a Facebook event. It was a Facebook event, a public event, and 40,000 people signed up for it. There were a bunch of people that signed up for the Area 51 one too, and it ended up, they actually were very concerned that people were going to show up for this thing, which of course Area 51 is a very secret military base where you will very much be shot on sight if you show up. Naruto run or not, they will shoot you in the face. And they ended up trying to divert it and turn it into like a festival, like an actual like music festival in a small town outside of Area 51, which a couple thousand people did show up for that. But there were only a few hundred that actually ended up showing up around the thing of Area 51. I think one person got turned away or whatever. No one actually tried to run at the base because I think they realized like, yeah, we're gonna die if we do that. That's a really bad idea. Yeah, storming things is so out of fashion now. Again, I mean, scoreboard. What happened? Nothing has been right since. Everyone's busy defending DC. Maybe. Y'all want to go test that theory? That is perfectly fine with me. I live in the state where Area 51's at. I know where it is. I know that is nothing to mess with, so I'm good, y'all. Like, I've been as close to it as I care to get. You get chased off by black Jeeps if you get too close, and that is not a lie. There are signs on the fence that say use of deadly force authorized, and that's all I needed to see to go, all right, I'm gonna tip out. Goodbye. I'm out, y'all. So there are other, besides the Bermuda Triangle, which I do believe is the largest one out of the list of different vile vortices. There are 12 in total, and we'll get back to it in a second, but Sanderson's theory does state that 5 of these spots are located on the same latitude north of the equator, and 5 more are distributed similarly on the same latitude south of the equator. The remaining 2 spots are the north and south poles, respectively. These spots are known for disappearances, strange lights, UFOs, you name it, instrument interference, that sort of thing. Let me see if we can go to like... I spanned these out for like 5 minutes to hope that I could talk for a long time over them, but you know. Ooh, the Golden Corral gravy seals. Meal Team 6, you mean? Yeah, those guys. That's a problem. That is problematic. Look at that. Oh, look at these state-of-the-art graphics, you guys. Breaking news. There's a triangle. I had to because of the BBC logo. So, yeah. So, do you guys think that it's ocean farts? I think it's ocean farts. I don't know. I think so. But let's get into some of the other spots around the world, because those are pretty cool too. And I was completely unaware, to be honest with you, that there were other spots beside the Bermuda Triangle. Like I was vaguely aware of a couple of them, but I didn't know there was this many, and I didn't know that the distribution of said spots was like weirdly patterned, which we will see in a map in a little bit. Because it's crazy. Alien ocean farts. Yes. Yes. Let me see if it'll let me. I don't think it'll let me skip to the next thing, but I'm going to skip forward a little bit just because that we're going to get into that. Yeah, because that's one of the working theories. So, yes, there's a map of them. So the list of spots, according to Sanderson, is as follows. Look at these graphics, you guys. I'm proud of myself. So number 1 is the Bermuda Triangle, perhaps the best well-known of these spots. Number 2 are the Algerian megaliths, which is south of Timbuktu. Number 3, the Indus Valley in Pakistan. Number 4, the Hamakulia volcano east of Hawaii. Number 5, the Devil's Sea east of Japan. Number 6, the South Atlantic anomaly. Number 7, the Wharton Basin. Number 8, Easter Island megaliths. Number 9, east of Rio de Janeiro. Number 10, the Loyalty Islands. And number 11, the North Pole. And number 12, ringing out the group, the South Pole. So these places, as you can see, kind of seem to be distributed evenly. Like there's, even on a curve, when you look at it, there's 5 that are arranged above the equator on the same latitude, and then 5 below the equator on the same latitude. So they're like evenly spaced across each other. And then of course you have pole and pole. So again, evenly distributed. I don't think there's a oops mistake to that. I think there's definitely a reason for that sort of thing. So the researchers claim that the reason for that patterning is far from random. This then leads to the theory that vortices are heavily linked by what are commonly called ley lines, important places of power and energy that run beneath the Earth's surface, which some of you are very familiar with. Yes, there was like one right where I live. Weird. Yeah, we're going to get into that, Polly. There's one near actually New Zealand. We'll get into that. So there have been various claims about the different vortices over time, and while the triangle is undoubtedly the most well-known, the creepy stories do not stop in the Caribbean with the pirates. They sure don't. It's said that planes mysteriously vanish over the desert near the Algerian megaliths as well. Let me skip forward because we've got a cool map. Oh my goodness, this one's really cool. So I'm kind of sad that this one cut off the whole map because it doesn't show all of them, but the next map will definitely show it. So these spots kind of remind me, do they remind you guys of like the mystery spots that are like in the, like, as you know, the ones that are like tourist spots of like the mystery spot where you can't stand up straight and gravity is weird and blah, like those tourist trappy kind of things. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like those very much, but not to say that they're not real, but you know, hold on. Let me go back. Okay. I'm still toying with it. Look at that. Oh my God. There's magic portals on the map. Holy crap. Anyways, I'm very proud of myself. So the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro in the Indus Valley, which is one of the other spots, was considered the location of Hinduism, but even this spot seems to hold a kind of darkness to it. After its discovery in the 1920s, archaeologists found scattered remains of more than 40 corpses. And with the god of destruction Shiva depicted in many statues in the ancient city, it leaves one to wonder whether this dark energy perhaps caused ancient civilizations to disappear, or to be the inspiration for Temple of Doom. I choose to believe this one. The Hamakulia volcano in Japan is said to be the focal point of the next vortex. Strange lights and magnetic phenomena have been experienced around the volcano, which can perhaps lend to the stories of ships and planes disappearing off the coast nearby. The Devil's Sea near Japan is apparently also taken very seriously by the island nation and its inhabitants. Lore spans all the way back to 1000 BC, where the ancient Chinese believed that a dragon slumbered beneath the sea in the region that would pull the ships to their doom. While there have never been any sightings of Godzilla outside of film, this didn't seem to stop ships from vanishing in this area, because that sounds like Godzilla to me, you guys. A dragon slumbering beneath the ocean. What does that sound like? Weird. Godzilla. Roar. So, in 1952, a research ship, the Kaiomaru, was sent to explore the region to see if it could find any reasoning behind the disappearances of other ships, only to fall victim to the Devil's Sea as well. And it also disappeared. The ship and her entire crew vanished. After this, the Japanese government officially declared that the Devil's Sea was unsafe for research ships and transporting. Just when you thought it couldn't get more fantastical than Godzilla, I have 3 words for you. Space, Bermuda, Triangle. That's right. You heard me. The South Atlantic anomaly is unique in that it has been researched and studied extensively by NASA. The planet is actually surrounded by 2 radiation belts, an outer belt and an inner belt. And around the area of the South Atlantic anomaly, the inner belt comes closer to the Earth's surface than any other spot, and it creates a field where the magnetic field is weaker. Satellites that pass through it often experience malfunctions and glitches, which you can imagine also causes issues for planes in the area. Many of these disappearances of aircraft no doubt can be attributed to navigational and electronic malfunctions. Near the northeast corner of the Indian Ocean lies Wharton Basin, perhaps the final resting spot of the missing Malaysian flight MH370 that vanished without a trace back in 2014. Along the ocean floor are very deep cracks and a lot of seismic activity where tectonic plates meet. There is, however, no map of the seafloor in this area, and one has not been attempted to be made since the 1960s, which is weird. Flight MH370 may have been a victim of a strange spot like this, like many before, and it may not be the last one either. The Eastern Island megaliths are famous in their own right for being so mysterious. Many believe that they are the final remnants of a civilization that existed on the islands, but eventually vanished due to poor resource management and economic failures due to environmental change. However, some like to go a step further and claim, like Ivan Sanderson, that the giant heads were moved by aliens and UFOs and commonly linked with the vile vortices. East of Rio de Janeiro has also proven to be one of the more tamer vortexes, but it's on the list because it's had its own share of strange disappearances. A small ship called the Tunanante 2 vanished there as recently as 2014. The Loyalty Islands off the coast of Australia have been long reported by sailors and seafarers to be loyal to no one. Currents change strangely and violently, and whirlpools also pop up in the area. That makes for some pretty terrible sailing conditions, and many ships have been lost in the region. Scientists also discovered in 2012 that an island whose existence had been clearly established on maps and weather charts seems to have entirely vanished. Okay, time out. For a second, time out. What? A whole ass island vanishes? A whole ass island. And this is my first thing hearing about this. A whole ass island just goes missing, deleted, delete. And no, it doesn't make the new, really? How do you misplace a 300-foot ship? How do you misplace a whole ass island? My head is exploding with possibilities and possibly a headache. So magnetism always also gets wonky around the poles as well. If you stand directly on either the North or South Pole, your compass would just spin, just endlessly spin. It won't stop. An 1845 expedition to the North Pole failed miserably, and all 149 men vanished. And traces of them were not found until 150 years later. 150 years later, not like months later, not a year later, 150 years later. Was it simply the inclement cold that got to them, or was it more? Despite being one of the most uninhabitable places on Earth, the South Pole boasts a population of about 4,000, all of them scientists and researchers. But many of them believe that an ancient civilization once lived here, and some people believe this, and that traces of them may be hidden beneath the layers of ice and permafrost. Some point to a strange formation of rock that could be a pyramid, but further research into this is proven challenging due to the harsh weather conditions and the distance. I mean, 2020 was only last year, y'all. I'd not even risk it. Again, let's treat this year with kid gloves, because our luck at this point, they would actually discover the thing down there. Just leave it be. Let's just let this one slide. We'll just let it go. It's fine. No foul. No harm, no foul. We just let this one, just let it quiet. So 12 mysterious spots evenly spread out between northern and southern hemispheres that are connected to places of supernatural power. Could it be possible that these spots then, and I'm going to pitch you, okay, I kind of wish I had my hat now, but I'm going to pitch you all an idea, a theory. Stick with me, if you will. So, as you can see in the map, apart from the poles, they're all pretty evenly just like zigzaggy apart from each other, as my fancy graphics with the vortex holes popping up showed. Is it possible then that all of the spots are then connected together in one mass group, like one long wormhole, where if something disappears into one, does it reappear thousands of miles away in another one of these spots? Or are the things that disappear in them just doomed forever to be trapped in a never-ending loop of temporal causality, like a Mobius strip, where like if you disappear into the Bermuda Triangle, you just are stuck in this loop between all the spots without being able to find your way out? I mean, that would make for one hell of a book or a movie, and I would watch or read that. So, right? Zigzaggy, technical term. Look it up. Don't look it up. It's not a technical term. But I'm going to claim that it was, for all intents and purposes. I don't know why this wasn't playing. Anyways, it should have been playing that whole time that I was talking. So, see, vortexes without like a wormhole. Like, what if they're all like linked together oddly, and you just, once you get sucked into it, it's just a never-ending loop with you whizzing past, like almost like if you were on a freeway. Yeah, like Polly, look at the last, I'm going to go back for a second and look at the last map. If you look, you can see where the lines, you can draw a line here. So like boop, 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 boop. And then the poles. So is it possible that then you get stuck in this thing, like as if you were on, let's use a freeway as an example. If you were in a car that you weren't driving on a freeway and you were just like hurtling down this freeway and you can see exits like going by you, but you have no control over if you can get off on that exit or not. But you can see them, like you could see, okay, there's the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, there's this spot. Okay, there's the South Atlantic anomaly. Okay, there's the pole. Like, and you're just whipping around, like stuck in this loop. I mean, stranger things have been theorized. I feel like that should be portrayed somewhere. Yeah, like the movie Interstellar. Like, yeah, I was like, I feel like this should be portrayed somewhere because I feel like that's not too off as far as like science fiction is concerned at the very least. So what do you guys think? Natural phenomenon explained by the laws of science or supernatural oddity? What do y'all think? I like to keep an open mind. Again, I'm a sci-fi writer. I'm a person who likes to use their imagination a lot. So I really want some of these things to be true. Like, I really do want them to be true. I really want the whole loop thing to be true. I want Atlantis to be a true thing, just because it makes for a much better story than ocean farts, to be honest with you. Like, the skeptic in me wants to err on the side of science, always. You know, you always try, like, in the paranormal, what do? What's the first rule? Well, don't investigate alone. Second rule, always try to explain the normal before you jump to paranormal. So, do I want to err on the side of science to debunk things before I go supernatural? Of course. But there's some things that I'm like, okay, science really can't explain that. Like, the South Atlantic anomaly, where it's been studied extensively by NASA, and NASA's even gone, yeah, like, this spot's weird, but we know why it's weird, because the Van Allen belt actually gets really close to Earth's surface right in that spot, and that's why it gets all wonky. So, okay, like, I'll take you on that one, because it's magnetic, flux and EMF and stuff like that. That's explainable by physics and science. Some of the disappearances, like, in my estimation, can't really 100% be explained by, like, a shift in magnetism, a polar shift. And you can't discount every single ship sinking in the Bermuda Triangle to, like, a storm or ocean farts. It's called the Van Allen belt. It's with the radiation belts that surround the Earth. There's an outer one and an inner one. I learned that from science TV and Futurama, actually. Yes, the Van Allen belt. So I don't think you can discount, like, you can't discount all of them to science. So part of me is like, I'm on the fence on this one, I guess, honestly. I'm really kind of between the two. Like, I want to try to explain it with science, and if it can be recreated in a laboratory, as with any scientific experiment, when you try to disprove something, can you recreate it in a laboratory? Okay, then cool. But some of these disappearances I don't think apply to the laws of physics and science. So maybe it's ocean farting aliens from Atlantis. Just pitching that theory out there. Could be. I mean, you never want to discount everything. Obviously you want to try to disprove things. You want to debunk with rational explanations before you jump to an irrational explanation. But it never hurts to consider all possibilities, right? I mean, there can be ghosts, which we know there can. If spirits can communicate with us, then why not a network of fucking vortexes in the Earth that are all connected by ley lines and energy and suck people into them like this? I found that image and I was like, wow, that's really on point. From Aslantis. Hashtag Aslantis. You heard it here first. Bundini and Aslantis. Like, just throwing that out there. So, yeah, you guys kind of some of you seem to think it's mostly supernatural, which I get that. Like, there's definitely some weird ones. Like, if you look into, like, really in depth on it and kind of dig a little bit and go down the rabbit hole, there are some that are like, yeah, I can't really explain that. Like, that doesn't really stand up to the laws of physics. Weird. Mystery and time life, mysteries of the unknown, 100%. It could be time travel. It could be. I mean, if these, let's just say portals are temporal causality loops, well, then the rules of time and space won't apply in theory in these portals. So, you could be trapped for, to your estimation, a few days when it's been years outside of that because the laws don't apply. So, you could disappear in 1945 and think you've been gone for 6 months, and you somehow pop out somewhere and it's been 60 years and to you it's been a day, so it very well could be an instance of time travel, and we just don't, or it's because time, there's two theories of time, that time is either a straight line or time is cyclical. Time is, you can actually go back and forwards, and like it all ends up back together, just in one big loop. It could be. And maybe these people are going back far enough in time that they can't get forward again, that they get like dumped somewhere in the past and they're like, well, now I'm fucking stuck here. Right? Yeah. Like 99% can be explained logically with the sci-fi person in me. The person that's a fan of like Star Trek and Futurama and shit like that, like wants that part to be true so bad. Philadelphia experiment. Yes, that's one of my favorite tinfoil hat theories, which we did a conspiracy theory roundup on the podcast as one of our last episodes. And I covered that one because that's like one of my favorite things ever, with like the making the ship disappear and reappear. Again, I don't want to discount 100% of everything, because you never know. Like, are we told everything? I don't think so. I think that there's some things that are like, that's possible. And I think there's, stuff, that's a good movie too. Stuff maybe not being told to us 100%, especially if it's considered like top secret, like, or a weapon, or, military tech. I don't think they tell us everything. I could do conspiracy theories next. Do a recap as a special episode. I ate Vienna sausages on a live stream. I just want you guys to know that. On the live stream of the podcast, if you live streamed it, the last episode, I ate a whole can of Vienna sausages, and I've never felt more disgusting. Like, I am sure I passed through the veil, and I thought I died. And maybe I did. Maybe, I don't know. Dantex, yes, that is the one where the ship reappeared, and they were fused into the hull. Some of them had the ship had moved, did not appear in the same spot, but it was like 20 feet over. And then when it reappeared, they still had sailors on board, and some of the sailors were like fused into the walls, and somebody was like inside out, and it was wild. And I really want it to be true, really bad. So next week, I don't think I have an interview lined up next week. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do next week. I may take next week off to do actual on-the-road scouting, because I do actually have to drive around to a couple places. But if I don't, we'll throw together another, because I won't have to upload. I might re-upload. I'll find it and see if I can re-upload that one. But, oh God, they're good. They're disgusting. They smell like cat food. Like, I opened that can of Vienna sausages. I don't know how people eat those things, because I opened it and it smelled like cat food. It was disgusting. Anyways, so I may take next week of the actual dead hours off to go do scouting, but Tuesday will be another episode of Murder Corner. And I can actually close this now because it's over. Yay. So next week will be a new episode of Murder Corner. And it's either going to be, I haven't decided yet who it's going to be. It's going to be either John Wayne Gacy or Carl Panzram, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's very interesting. No, the cast didn't even want them, Dan. Like, it was like, it's bad if like animals are like, no. Like, no, gross, disgusting. That's not even real meat, Mom. We don't know what that is. So, and then we're back to interviews after that. So we may do a special episode. We're still trying to figure out dates and times. I do have a couple interviews coming up scheduled that are going to take us into February as well. So I do have Ghost Club Paranormal. She's going to be on not this next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday after that, she'll be on the show. So we're going to go back to in a couple weeks, we're going to go back to interviews. And then no, they didn't try to bury it. But what's an interesting thing? Apparently I saw like on a video that cats think coffee smells like poop. So if you put like coffee grounds out, cats will try to bury it because they think it smells like poop. Weird. I haven't tried it yet. I tried the thing a while back, like with the cucumber, and my cats just looked at it like, what the fuck is that? They weren't scared like of it at all. So my cats are weird, I guess. But yeah, the Ghost Club Paranormal is going to be on, and then we will have John on. We're just still trying to figure out schedules. We both work full-time jobs, so he's trying to figure out his schedule, and I need to interview him still about the poltergeist experience. I'm going to have a couple more. So we're going to have a couple more guests on, taking us into February, and yeah, it's going to be good times. So we'll do Murder Corner. next week. It'll probably be a two-parter. If I do Gacy, it's probably gonna be a two-parter. But I will let you guys know what it's gonna be as soon as I decide myself what it's gonna be, because I haven't decided yet. But I may take Wednesday off to go do scouting, on the road scouting, because I have to, because these places aren't getting back to me, and I'm just going to show up on their doorstep and go like, hi, hello, hi, I'm here. You can't ignore me when I'm here. So I get very persistent. You can ask the people I work for how persistent I am. You put coffee grounds in your yard, dogs won't poop in your yard. I didn't know that, but I heard, again, I don't know if that's true, but cats think it smells like poop. Weird. Cats are weird though. They're like little aliens. There's one sleeping on my bed on a towel right now. You can see her in the back. She's a very large, shadowy lump. Dog's covered it up. Dog scarfed it up and sleep. Ugh. Liver. Yeah. Cats are weird. They're weird little aliens. I think they might be aliens, actually. Thanks. Did you guys enjoy this episode? I know people were asking about it and people were asking for it. So if I do another one, if we don't have another interview and I'm unable to get on the road, what's the topic you guys want to hear next? Do you guys want to do another Paranormal 101 in the middle of interviews? We can always do that. It's always a fun one. I like doing research. You guys can't stop me from doing research. Paranormal researcher. That's what I do. Used coffee grounds are really good for plants too. Like if you put them in your potted plants, they're really good for like eggshell too. They're really good fertilizer. I go take my grounds out of my French press and go dump it in the pots outside with my plants. Paranormal 101. So we could do another Paranormal 101 where we do like cold spots, or we go over some other, like if there's things that you guys see in some of the paranormal episodes you've watched before and you're like, I wonder how that works, or I wonder what that is that they're talking about. Like we can talk about that. So if there's a particular topic that you're really interested in for Paranormal 101 that you're like, I've seen this on various shows, I've seen this on paranormal shows, and it's never really been explained how this works or what it is, leave it in the comments below, because I will gladly do an episode on it, giving you guys some background on like cold spots, EMF. We did different kinds of hauntings already, but like things like that. Like if there's things that you see that you're just like, I don't know what that is, drop a comment. We will look into it. We can also do Area 51. Also, so next, shadow figures. That would be a good one. Shadow figures, full body apparitions. If there's ever terms you guys don't know, like we can even just do like terms and technology, because some shows just will throw out terminology assuming that people know it. And a lot of people that are very familiar with paranormal do know them already. But if you're not an investigator, you may not be familiar with some of these things and how they work and stuff like that. So glad to not debunk, but like define, I guess, this stuff for you. Paranormal group SLS is no-go due to they were outside and picked up a false positive from a bush in tall grass. SLS is, well, here's the thing. None of the equipment that is used by paranormal investigators has been proven 100% to work 100% of the time. This is all theoretical equipment, and it's all experimental equipment, because you're measuring something that, according to science, does not exist. So it's real hard to put these things through their paces, and you can't measure something that's not there. So it's not like I'm pointing it at my cat that's on the bed and like she exists. She is there in physical form. If I'm pointing it at something that's not supposed to be there, like I can't run that experiment in a laboratory, right? How to shadow figures trip off an IRR alarm. I can look into things like that. So if you guys really have questions, then we can like get into the science, the pseudo, like the paranormal science, the parascience behind that. If you're interested, terminology. Yep. If there's terms, throw them in the comments. Let me know what you want me to look at. We will do it. We'll get into it. One of my dear friends on Ghost Show, that is one of the things I love about their show, is that when they mention a piece of equipment, they bring the name up on the screen and they explain what it is and how it works briefly. Like they go into a brief explanation of a piece of equipment, because a lot of shows will just whip out like a millimeter and stuff like that and expect that you know what that is. And it's like, well, not everybody knows what a millimeter is. You wouldn't really know that unless you're an investigator. No, there's not really an equipment that works in any area 100% of the time. To me, there's not. Because you're always going to have interference. You're always going to have something that could be throwing things off, especially, like I said, with SLS. It's not, none of this technology is perfected, you guys, and none of it's like 100% accurate all of the time. So, but when you get responses, and that's why I always try to tell people, when you get multiple responses and you get multiple things that confirm one piece of equipment. So you never want to go off of just one piece of equipment. You never want to solely like walk into a place with just an ovulus and going off of that. You want to go use other pieces of equipment, like a recorder to catch EMF, like to catch EVPs, your ovulus, your cameras, your static cams, your IR cams, REM pods. So varying pieces of evidence are going to confirm each other if it's an actual like haunting. Because like I said, you can't rely on just one piece of equipment all the time, because there are things that can interfere with this equipment. So when you have varying ways to confirm stuff, and multiple ways a piece of evidence is confirmed, like with sight, sound, touch, being caught on camera, that's what is really important. So that's why the wide variety of equipment is very important. To be total BS, I personally, me as an investigator, disclaimer, I do not speak for other investigators, but me as an investigator, Ouija boards on investigations, no. Not because they're scary, just because they're too subjective. Same with dowsing rods, too subjective. Same with pendulums, too subjective. They're not reliable at all. Depends on the person who's holding it. Yeah, exactly. Electric pagan. No technology is 100% reliable. Like no technology is. So paranormal technology is really not, because it's like I don't have a ghost in a cage that I can test it on, right? So I don't like the necrophonic app. I know there's a lot of investigators that might be a controversial opinion. I don't like Ghostbox or Necrophonic because I don't use third-party apps at all when I investigate. I don't like them. Not to say that they're not accurate, because I know other investigators who like them and use them. I don't know who programmed them. I don't know the source code. I wasn't there when they made it, so I don't know the purpose of the app, and I don't know the accuracy and how it works. If somebody were to give me a rundown and like a behind the scenes and like, this is how it works and this is how it measures things, I might be a little less skeptical. But since it's a third-party app that I have no idea how it's made and how it works, and it was actually a program from a third party, yeah, I'm a little on that one. I'll always go with an SB7 or an SB11 or an Ovilus over any kind of apps that are made, because I don't know the motivation behind them and I don't know who made them. That's just me. Disclaimer over. Disclaimer done. Other investigators like those apps and like the equipment like that. It's not for me. Yeah. A radio is a spirit box. The SB7, I have mine over there. Take the antenna out to make sure you don't get like unwanted radio interference. That's one we should probably maybe redo. If I can get somebody on here to show how to take apart an SB7 and take the antenna out, would you guys be interested in watching something like that? Because I know I've seen other videos on it, and I know somebody who does it to theirs. And if they run like a tutorial on how to do it, and I'll do it at the same time, because mine needs the antenna taken out as well. I just put mine in all the time and I don't extend it. Would you be interested in that? Yeah, full spectrum cameras for sure. They're expensive though. I want one. I don't have one. I have an IR camera, but I don't have a full spectrum camera. Well, let me see if I can coordinate something because this person is very, very busy, and I'm lucky to get any of their time at all. So we'll see if we can coordinate maybe like a little like tutorial of how to take a SB7 apart and how to take the antenna out to make it a little bit more reliable piece of equipment, so that you won't get the interference. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you guys next week on Tuesday for Murder Corner, with either, let me know who you want to see it on, Gacy or Carl Panzram, or if there's another serial killer, shout it out in the comments. We will cover it. We're just kind of covering all the biggies right now. So if there's anybody you want to see specifically that I have not mentioned, please mention it. Please let me know, because I probably have gone, oh yeah, I'm going to get to that one. So don't forget, we're still running the GoFundMe for the Viper Room. Thank you so much to everybody who's donated. Thank you so much to everybody who has given to the PayPals for the 2 teams. All of that money goes to getting these guys to this unprecedented location. It's going to be crazy. We're shooting for March. So please, please, please. Any little bit, $5 even is a help. It is expensive, but it's way cheaper than it normally would be. So thank you, pandemic, I guess. So thanks, guys, and I will see you guys next week for at the very least the Murder Corner, if not another episode of Dead Hours where we do some more Paranormal 101 and then some more interviews in the coming weeks. So until then, stay spooky, you guys.